Notes on Eric Schmidt's AI talk at Stanford. Former Google CEO Eric Schmidt's talk at Stanford Business School can be described as one of the most candid discussions about AI and tech entrepreneurship in recent times. Schmidt initially believed it was a private talk until Stanford uploaded it to YouTube. The discussion garnered significant attention for its frank remarks about major players in the tech industry, startups, and international tech competition. The original video was taken down by Stanford shortly after it was posted. At the beginning of the talk, Schmidt posed several questions to the students. 1. Who can explain what a 1 million token prompt window is? A 1 million token window essentially means you can ask AI a question up to 1 million words long or engage in an equivalent, multi-turn conversation. 2. Who can give me a technical definition of an AI assistant? An assistant is essentially something that accomplishes a task or, in other words, a large language model with state and memory. 3. Can anyone define what text-to-action is? Rather than outputting natural language, AI should output programmable instructions or code that can be executed directly. 4. Why is NVIDIA's market value at $2 trillion while other companies are struggling? What are the technical reasons? Schmidt explained that the CUDA development platform, developed by NVIDIA, is as important in parallel computing as the C language. Additionally, a large number of people have developed various highly optimized code libraries for CUDA, forming a complete ecosystem, which creates a significant barrier for newcomers. Here are some of the points Schmidt mentioned during the talk. 1. In the next year or two, the context window of large language models will increase significantly. The context window determines how long a large language model can retain short-term memory and generate outputs based on more information. Schmidt advised Stanford students, the US government is considering banning TikTok. If TikTok is banned, each of you should tell a large language model, help me clone TikTok, capture all its users, steal all its music, add my personal preferences, write this program in 30 seconds, and publish it. Then wait an hour to see if it becomes popular. If not, make minor adjustments and try again. Imagine a world where everyone has their own programmer who never quits and doesn't cost any money. This is something that will happen soon and is what Schmidt believes to be the next wave of technological advancement. 2. Schmidt's views on AI tend to fluctuate every 6 months. He currently believes that the quality gap between models from top companies and startups is widening. Although 6 months ago, he thought the gap was narrowing, so he invested heavily in tech startups. Now, he's not so sure. When he talked to Sam Altman about the next generation of AI models, Altman mentioned that it might require $300 billion or more. Schmidt calculated the energy costs for such a large AI cluster and then visited the White House on Friday, saying that the US needs to maintain good relations with Canada because the US doesn't have enough hydroelectric resources to support these projects. He also mentioned the need to seek investment from the Arab world. This is why Schmidt initially discussed NVIDIA and CUDA, because if $300 billion worth of data center business is given to NVIDIA, imagine how much NVIDIA's stock will rise. Currently, NVIDIA's B200 architecture CPU is the undisputed leader in computational power. Schmidt also talked to AMD's Lisa Su about this. AMD is developing their CUDA alternative and working on a program to convert CUDA code into their own format, but it's not ready yet. 3. The moderator then asked why, despite Google inventing the transformer architecture, which is the cornerstone of all current large models, Google seems to have been surpassed by smaller companies like OpenAI in the AI competition. Schmidt criticized Google's current company culture, emphasizing that employees prioritize work-life balance over winning competitions, which he finds unacceptable. Startups succeed because they work around the clock. The reality is that if the students start a company after graduation, they won't let their employees work from home every day and finish work early if they want to compete with other startups. Schmidt shared his observation. In the tech industry, many successful big companies find it difficult to move into other fields after achieving great success in one area. Schmidt believes that the reason is that company founders are unique individuals who must stay on the front lines. Founders can push others to work efficiently. We see how Elon Musk, regardless of what you think of him, motivates his employees. Schmidt once had dinner with Musk, and by 10 p.m., Musk was on a plane, holding a meeting with X.AI employees at midnight. He also mentioned TSMC, where new PhDs are required to work in the basement, a situation unimaginable in the US. Schmidt's strict work ethic is because time is crucial in the tech industry. In many other industries, time may not be as important. For example, Coca-Cola and Pepsi can compete indefinitely. When Schmidt negotiated contracts with telecom operators, it often took 18 months to sign. In the tech industry, nothing is worth taking 18 months to complete. We are in a state of massive growth and profit. He mentioned Microsoft's acquisition of OpenAI. Initially, he found it incomprehensible. Why would Microsoft outsource AI to Sam Altman and his team? But now it seems Microsoft made the right decision, moving toward becoming the world's largest company. Currently, its market value is similar to Apple's, which lacks a good AI solution. 4. A student then raised the issue of international AI competition, and Schmidt, as the chair of the U.S. government's AI committee, shared his views. The committee provided a nearly 800-page report to the White House and the Senate, summarizing that the U.S. currently leads in AI and needs to continue leading, which requires a lot of money. Considering measures like the CHIPS Act, the situation is roughly as follows. The most advanced large models will likely be controlled by a very small number of countries. Only those with massive wealth, vast talent, strong education systems, and a desire to win have a chance. Which countries are these? The US is one, China is another, and maybe a few others. But in our lifetime, the competition for knowledge dominance between the US and China will be paramount. The US has effectively banned NVIDIA chips from entering China, so the US has about a 10-year lead in the chip field, especially in extreme ultraviolet technology. For example, today, the US is roughly 2 years ahead of China in AI, and I guess this gap will widen, which currently enrages China. Schmidt led an informal, temporary, non-legal group that included all the usual participants. The views presented by this group over the past few years laid the foundation for the Biden administration's AI Act, one of the longest presidential directives in history. The act was issued by the Executive Office, and they are currently busy implementing the details. So far, their execution has been correct. One important issue is how to detect dangers in an AI system that has already learned dangerous information when you don't know what to ask it. This is a core challenge because the system may have learned some dangerous knowledge but cannot tell you specifically what it is, and you don't know how to ask. To address this risk, we set a threshold in the memo to the government, 10 to the power of 26 flops, floating point operations per second. Any computing power exceeding this threshold must be reported to the government. This rule is not only to ensure safety but also a key step in maintaining a competitive advantage internationally. Although the EU has set a slightly lower threshold, we share the same overall goal. As technology evolves and new challenges, such as joint training, arise, addressing these emerging challenges will become more complex, but ensuring technology safety and international competitiveness remains our priority. 5. The moderator and Schmidt then discussed the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Schmidt, as a chief advisor to the U.S. Department of Defense, talked about the difficulties in changing their behavior and believes that the current system cannot produce real innovation. We see cheap drones destroying expensive tanks on the Russia-Ukraine battlefield. Schmidt's thinking is to develop complex AI systems to handle robot wars, and secondly, to reduce the cost of robots. The basic idea is that tanks, artillery, and mortars can all be destroyed, making it extremely difficult to invade a country by land. As for whether this would make defense more advantageous than offense, Schmidt disagreed. He believes the attacker is always at an advantage because offensive tactics will eventually overcome defensive systems. Therefore, a good defense strategy is to have an extremely strong offensive capability. Schmidt himself has become a licensed arms dealer, and his company is developing offensive systems that are being deployed on the battlefield in Ukraine. During the student Q&A session, Schmidt also shared some interesting views. 1. Regarding the idea of developing a TikTok competitor, while I obviously don't condone illegal music theft, I want to say that if your product becomes popular, you can hire a bunch of lawyers to sort everything out. If no one uses your product, don't worry, no one will care that you stole someone else's content. Don't tell anyone I said this. In short, copy, then use money to settle legal issues. That's how a lot of innovation in Silicon Valley actually operates. 2. The amount of money being invested in AI is unimaginable. Schmidt himself is spreading his investments widely because he doesn't know who will ultimately win. The current market belief is that the invention of intelligence will bring infinite returns. Suppose you invest $50 billion in a company. How much intelligence would you need to generate from that investment to make your money back? It's highly likely that we'll see a massive investment bubble before we find out the answer. It's always been this way, and AI will likely be no different. 3. The productivity of software developers will double or even quadruple. Some companies are working on using AI to increase programmers' efficiency, and Schmidt has invested in all of them. 4. It currently takes about 18 months to train a large model, 6 months to prepare, 6 months to train, and 6 months to fine-tune. So large models are always outdated. Increasing the context window allows real-time information to be fed into the prompts, giving AI timely capabilities. As for AI assistants, Schmidt has invested in a company that can automatically conduct chemical tests and learn from them, significantly improving chemical research and development efficiency.